Three, two, one, go. Welcome everybody. This is Mahesh. Uh, I I teach a course on Maven. I'm a product manager here at Google, and before that, I worked at various companies, all the main companies, and I know a lot about machine learning and AI because that's where I'm working for the last 10 years, and I've built a lot of agentic workflows. I've shipped products with trillion parameter scale models. And this is an awesome session. We have this community where we have all the AI PMs, and every Saturday we meet and we look at different challenges in shipping AI specific products and how product managers can prepare to get ready for this new world of AI, where AI is not on the sidelines of things, but it's part of your core experiences. And with that, one challenge I have faced always is that, hey, how can I build these products with awesome user experience? And today I have Joanne with us. Joanne has done amazing work with almost 2 decades of experience in building UX and more. And she's iterating on a lot of things in AI. So I want to welcome Joanne. And today she's going to answer or take on three major things, which is what the basic component of UX is. Second is how AI is changing them. And third is how can you, from US perspective, how can you build really intelligent products, but not compromise on user trust? And how can your UX helps there? That's the core ideas today. Uh, she has done amazing presentation, and I was impressed how she built a presentation like that in Figma, because I can build it in Canva, I can build it in Google Docs, but Figma, amazing job. With all that said, let's welcome Joanne. And Joanne, take it away.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Mahesh, and I'm super excited to be here. Excited to share some of my learnings over the past year. So let me share my screen. I sent a request to share my screen. So hopefully I can do that shortly. Let me see. Okay, here we go. Awesome. All right, so a little bit, I'm going to talk today about building Gen AI apps. And of course, it's a little bit more from the product design or UX perspective. So I'll give you a little background into myself, talk about some of the things that I think make really exceptional UX, talk about how AI is changing those items, and then some of the challenges I faced in building Gen AI apps over the last year. So a little bit about me. So my most recent corporate experience was as VP of digital experience for a Nestlé Health Sciences brand. And I went from VP or from individual contributor to VP in 4 years. And the way I think I actually did that was by building really exceptional user experiences. So I've taken a year off to learn absolutely everything I can about AI, build some Gen AI apps, have a lot of fun. I'm also an adjunct professor at the local community college. I teach Pure Bar in my spare time, and my 15 minutes claim to fame was I sold a company to Microsoft about 20 years ago, a small software development company where we developed talking voice over the internet, which is crazy because that's all we do today. So over the last year, I spent a lot of time, delving into everything AI. I've built a lot of custom GPTs. For example, my Pure Bar GPT that helped me train and become a Pure Bar instructor. So I'm able to go in, plan my classes, do all that stuff with the help of my custom GPT because it has all the information in there. I also mentor a lot of junior designers. I get a lot of requests for resume reviews, etc. This really helps me. It helps me share the links with others to have that AI resume guru helping us all out. And then one of the products I'm going to talk about today is AmuseMe, and I've built a chatbot that, custom GPT that is actually live on the site and helps answer any support calls. So I have a lot more. I have my own AI mentor, Mahesh GPT, because I took his course, which is amazing. And anytime I have an AI question, I just go ask my virtual Mahesh, which is super helpful. So
Please don't
um,
listen to that. Please attend the course.
those are a few of the things I've built agents in Vertex AI, but it's been a ton of fun, a lot of learning. But I want to talk to you about a couple of the products I'm super passionate about today. One being a streaming aggregator app that I've worked on over the last year. This is my own personal baby, and I had this issue. My family has this issue where we'd sit down to watch a show. One, we wouldn't know what streaming service the show was on. We wouldn't know. We'd get into battles. Well, I'm in the mood for this, and someone else is in the mood for that. And where do we find it, and what do we watch? So we developed Amuse Me, and this combines, doesn't matter what streaming platform you're on, it handles like 12, 15 different streaming platforms. You never have to remember what streaming platform you're on. And you can take a quiz there and tell it what kind of mood you're in. It comes up with all sorts of recommendations. So this is in beta on the Apple TV currently. The other app I'm going to...
And I think one thing what I got excited when Joanne shared the idea of this app is that as you go into building these experiences, imagine, right, the power was in the platform provider. So if you're Netflix, you decide what I watch. If you are Prime, you decide. But Joanne is going on this mission that you get that power back, which is you have your own app on top of all these, and it's learning for you. She has no agenda to push. She has no paid marketing. She doesn't decide this show you should watch, but she really decides it based on the basis of how much she understands you, and she can put the latest greatest priority in customizing these shows or entertainment for you across these platforms. And even if a lot of things are free, she can incorporate like YouTube, obviously not free, but YouTube paid version. And then you have a lot of like free movies. And if you bring that all together, you are having an awesome experience without tying yourself to one provider. So I think
Yeah.
that's the future, and I'm all super pumped on this app. I can take all the questions on the app in chat while Joanne goes on talks about the second project. Go ahead, Joanne.
Awesome. Thanks, Mahesh. So the second project, super exciting project as well, is working with Mahesh and his awesome team of PMs and developers to bring a contract legal analysis app that really lets legal professionals or even end users like myself, I'm a business owner, upload contracts to really assess the risk. Like what is the risk in this contract? Is this in my favor? Is this not in my favor? What should I be aware of? What should I fix before signing off on this? So super excited about that. There's another app I've been working on with
On this one, I'm going to interrupt you all along. On legal graph, right? The idea came from our course. I think we used this idea in the course, and it was just a basic chatbot. And then people took it and built a whole service around it. There are really people working on this full time, and me and Joanne are there to advise them. But most of the work is done completely by the people who started it, and we are there to. I mean, Joanne has put all the work you are seeing in the UX that she's showing you. So she's giving me free credits, but mostly the team is doing all the work. And that's what happens when you actually start working with passionate people in the cohort. You don't stop there. You actually ship things that people will go try and hopefully one day pay for. So super excited on legal graph, solving a real problem and solving in a UX. I hope Joanne can walk you through other challenges in this journey as well.
Yeah, I think this one especially is super interesting because, as a UX designer, we've had e-commerce and stuff for years. You can go find previous designs. You can find out the best flows people have done. This is super interesting and challenging because there's nothing out there. So you're solving these problems from a UX perspective. Of course, the devs and the other team have done the hard work on the back end, but you're solving problems that you don't have examples you haven't solved before. So super interesting. And then this one is an app I did a design for a few PMs that I'm working with here on a financial advisor app. So, all right, what makes exceptional UX? So, as I said, I also teach at the local college, and I teach an intro to user-centered design course. And what I always tell users, the very basic bare minimum is, of course, useful, usable, and beautiful. I think we've elevated past that. I know I'm talking to a really, really experienced group of PMs who understand design sense in building product. So I'm going to elevate a little bit more and say, in my opinion, the things that really, really elevate the user experience and make it exceptional are those things that delight the user. So here I have an example of like Duolingo. I've been brushing up on my French. I'm originally from Canada, but I don't get to use it all the time. So I like to brush up on my French. And so those micro interactions that Duolingo has introduced, like the confetti or the owl changing expressions, those little things that on a daily basis really delight the user, make exceptional UX. Here you have things like just ease of use, like, okay, I'm at someone else's place, they can share the Wi-Fi with me, I don't have to type in a complicated password. I love it when I go out to my truck on a Saturday morning and it knows that, hey, on Saturday morning, you usually go to the Y for a workout early morning. So it pops up with these little things that just make my life easier and really delight the user. That's the first differentiator. Second differentiator in experiences these days are anywhere, anytime access. So Netflix does a great job of this. We're working on this on AmuseMe as well. It doesn't matter what platform you log into, whether it's the web, whether it's an app, whether it's a tablet, whether it's my Apple Vision Pro, it knows where I am in my journey. And then differentiator number 3 is really building that trust over time. Users invest in apps. Spotify does a great job of this with its Discovered Weekly. These are it gets me moments. So I think Headspace does a great job of this too when it says, hey, just take a deep breath, right? Like it just knows, like right now it's probably reminding me, just breathe. The other thing, you know, that I love is my Google Maps comes up and says, not that I tend to speed at all, but it'll warn me of speed traps along the way in my journey. So trust through time. And then how is AI changing things in UX, in the design world? So there's 3 key ways that AI has changed the game. So of course, those natural interaction models. So we have, you know, we've been taught over the last several years to interact with computers, to type in things like in Google here, we have the example of, I would type in San Jose weather, right? And instead now with these natural language models, with the natural interactions, instead of typing that into Google, I might go to Perplexity and say, what is the weather in San Jose? And it comes back with lovely, you know, prompts and things like, do you want to know what to wear? Do you want, like, it'll come back with all sorts of things. And then it'll also offer up images or videos so I can see what's actually happening. So it's much more, it's very natural. So that's one of the ways that it's changing, and it's introducing a lot of challenges in UX, which I'll get into when we go into the building of product. And then of course, dynamic personalization. We see this in TikTok, the For You page, always surfacing things that it knows that are specific to me, that I'm interested in. Again, Duolingo does a great job of this, where it says, hey, Joanne, we know that you struggled a little bit with verb tense here in these exercises. So specific to you, we are tailoring your experience and gonna revisit that concept and make sure you get everything you need. So, and then designing for proactive versus reactive experiences. So this is where, you know, a lot of those tedious little tasks that that I have had to do in the past, like note taking. Like we have Firefly's AI and Otter AI. I rarely go to a meeting where somebody hasn't sent their AI to take notes. Of course, I have my Amuse Me support chat that I built. So again, eliminating like a support that I have to do myself. So my AI can do that for me. And then, automating things like here's a make automation that I built to automate social media posts. So really, now the system is proactive rather than reactive. So overall, we've just seen that fundamental shift from the reactive systems to more proactive. Instead of like tailoring to a segment of customers, it's very specific to the individual. So it's an overall shift since that AI has come in. All right, to the really, really exciting stuff. Okay, so 3 challenges bringing AI apps to customers.
Yeah.
First,
So one question in the lab is that there's one question that people are asking Joanne is like, what are the challenges building these products? So I think you will walk them through. And another is like people are looking for the slide deck, but we can share after the class, I believe,
yes,
so that you don't disrupt the flow.
yes,
Go
I will
ahead.
absolutely share the slide deck after. So the challenges in bringing some of these AI apps to market. So first, I'm going to talk about these 3. So building trust and transparency, error and recovery, because we all know that the LLMs and the AI can be unpredictable, and then managing the user expectations. So when we talk about the first one, which is building trust and transparency. So one of the things I think super important, especially in the example I'm going to give is of legal graph. So really highlighting what goes into the AI's thought process. Why did it identify certain things as high risk? Why did it identify certain clauses in the analysis? Why did it give the values that it did? Why did it give the page numbers? You can go find it. We know based on user research that AI reasoning is something users really, really delve into. They want to understand that chain of thought reasoning that the AI gave. So for a specific clause value, showing users that, okay, here's what the AI thought. Here was its chain of thought reasoning. It said we discovered these content, like extracted this data on page 7, and really detailing, it goes into a long list of detail as to what was behind the AI's reasoning. And users spend time going through that. They like that feature. The other thing to really build that trust and transparency is talking about the AI confidence. So how confident are we that what the value extracted was correct? So in the legal app, for example, a 90% confidence, we're very certain we have the right data. Something less, is kind of a red flag to the legal team or to a user saying, hey, I might want to review this one in greater detail. So, and really, really explaining to the user exactly what each of those ranges mean. So full transparency to the user as to what the AI is doing, how it's thinking. And then allowing the user to balance the automation versus user control. So letting the user, be able to say, yes, please adjust the fine tuning, adjust the confidence levels, giving the user the control back. So always surfacing like, which model do you want to use? Finding that balance lets the user know exactly what's going on behind the surface. And then what's really important too, especially in legal apps, is really surfacing things like that give them confidence that their files are, of course, secure, Legal teams don't just want to upload files if they think you're going to sell or share their data. So really making that clear is really important. Any questions on that one before I move on, Mahesh?
No, I think this is going great. Let's continue. These are the challenges. I think what Joanne is trying to bring is that, especially legal space, where you're dealing with lawyers who are already, by design, are supposed to reason or question or get into the real facts. They don't give you option or suggestions or like, hey, this is what I think. They have to ground it based on something. And if you start introducing a tool like legal graph, which lawyers are going to use, you need to build that strong bond of trust. And that's the biggest gap in today AI apps. If you see the AI apps, on the bottom in the disclaimer, they will say, I'm wrong about people, person, facts, and everything I'm going to tell you. And if you take it to a lawyer, they are okay, it helps them, but how can they build that trust? And how can they learn using your tool? Most of the people right now in their AI journey outside our AI bubble of large tech or Bay Area is they want to learn what this is. They see the capability, but they want to know how. They want to know what when they can trust, when they can't trust. They want to know when they can trust, how can they verify, and they want to see how this AI systems actually work. So, how can your tool be a learning experience, which I think Joanne was trying to bring with our earlier examples, and then she incorporated that very seamlessly with this her idea of how legal graph should do it. I think that's the new world as you get into new areas beyond tech. Like if you're building Devon.ai, then you need not to do a lot because software engineers will understand it. But if you're getting into legal or if you're giving your tool to medical experts, I think the UX becomes the differentiating factor. So all I'm saying is pay attention to next two slides.
Awesome. Yes, so definitely, and that's why I chose the legal graph one for the trust and transparency, because it is heightened, both in legal graph, both in a fintech atmosphere, a little more heightened than maybe in the streaming world, we also work to build trust and transparency, but the costs are not as great if something goes wrong. So. Okay, so error and recovery. So designing for those AI inconsistencies. AI, of course, is going to, it's very unpredictable at times, so it is going to fail. And one of the challenges in UX is, when you have a rule-based system, you can account for all the edge cases and the different scenarios. When you are dealing with AI and it's unpredictable, we can't account for every single failure that's going to happen, but we definitely do our best. Here's an example in the streaming app where, people will go through the quiz, or even if they don't go through the quiz, the recommendations we surface, they may, request family friendly. I've got 1 to 2 hours. I'm in the mood for this, but how come I got a recommendation that wasn't necessarily, rated G or PG, such as Pitch Perfect? So designing on the back end as well, that's one of the things, maybe bridging more the PM role, but screening against that ground truth, right? So are all the shows that are shown, that are being recommended, do they meet the requirements? Are they G or PG? Are they in the right genres? We had to deal with hallucinations in the beginning, making up IMDb IDs. So developing those fail safes where we try and eliminate as much of those as we can. We also do this monitoring the app analytics, of course. We get to see what the user engages with, what content they engage with based, on the stuff we've recommended. So. And then, of course, gracefully handling those edge cases. One of the things I learned in Mahesh's awesome course was, of course, talking a lot about the cold start problem. So what happens when you just don't have enough data from the user? What do you surface to them? So, surfacing up whether it's, currently trending, or, are there other signals we've gotten that we can try and surface up what we think they will like? So, and of course, you sometimes get, especially when people take the quiz, very unusual preferences, or sometimes obscure content. So what do we surface in those scenarios? So handling those edge cases. It's also not a great user experience if they see all sorts of red percentages, AI match percentages. So maybe they didn't get as many stuff that they think matches their fit. So we try and avoid to have like all sorts of, 20%, 30% match percentage. And then always creating those feedback loops. So, reporting any offensive content. Did the content not meet the criteria, or didn't meet the criteria, but you just didn't like it? So getting all sorts of signals based on feedback from the user. So that's really, really important, so the AI can continue to learn. Like we said, the more you give us, the better we get. So, really incorporating those feedback loops. And then I call it escape hatches when the AI fails, but if they really, really didn't like that list of, recommendations they got, do we give them options to, hey, just regenerate it. We'll give you another new list, excluding the ones you got, or you can just see what's trending instead. Always allowing them to, of course, get help in the settings, and of course, providing some of those AI controls via the settings. You saw that in Legal Graph. We also do that here, where we let users in their settings determine how creative they want the AI to be, whether they prefer to stick solely with what they know, we know they like, or whether they're open to a little bit more creativity and maybe some out there recommendations. All right. And that brings me to managing those user expectations. So this is another challenge when it comes to AI. So being realistic about what the AI can do, as I think anyone who's dealt with leadership teams as well, they often have very high expectations, thinking the AI can do a lot more than it can. And we try and set those expectations with users right from the beginning. So in the onboarding phase, we say, hey, if you skip this, or the more you tell us, the more you build your personal library, the more you tell us about your preferences, the better we are, and the more we can make accurate recommendations. So really trying to communicate with the user what AI can do. And then one of the big challenges I had when building AmuseMe, especially in the beginning, was latency. And if you're on a TV screen, people don't want to sit there and watch a loader for very long. So it's much better now on GPT-4o mini, but when we were using ChatGPT 3.5, it was taking, somewhere close to 5 minutes at times. And so we really had to work to cache results, find ways to make this more responsive to the user. And then perceived versus actual intelligence. So sometimes people think we're smart, but we're not that smart. So communicating to the user, they'd be like, well, wait a minute, I watched this over here. How come you don't know that I've watched all this? So we don't have access to what you do on the other platforms if you don't go through us. So really highlighting that to users, like if you're using AmuseMe, you click on a show, it's gonna seamlessly take you to Netflix or somewhere. But when you come back, you have to tell us, yeah, I just binge watched 10 episodes, right? And you can easily mark all those up to date, but you have to come back and tell us, kind of your progress. So making sure the users know we're smart, but not that smart. So being realistic about what the AI can do. And then, like anyone, AI has good days and bad days. So we try and communicate again to the user that some of these picks might be experimental, that, it doesn't matter if you gave us the exact same answers, you might get different results. Okay, so we've all probably experimented with that in like a Chat GPT or a Claude, where you've tried to do. I know we experienced this with the fintech app as well, where we're trying to make queries on 10Ks, and we might get different answers, or at least worded in different ways. So really communicating that to the user. And like I said, even if they retake the quiz, they could get different results. So. And then maintaining user confidence. So, once they might get something that maybe didn't fall within their criteria, like content that wasn't PG or something, that starts to erode their confidence a little bit. So doing whatever you can from the UX side to try and maintain that confidence. One of the things we like to surface right now is Amuseme's in beta. It's in beta on the Apple TV, so always surfacing up like we're still learning, and being positive about it, encouraging the user to give us that feedback so we can continue to learn and get better, and telling them like, hey, we got it, this one wasn't it, but your next one will be better. And then bringing out stats when we do a really good job for over a month, and say, hey, we gave you X number that were 85% match and above, and kind of touting that helps build that user confidence as well. And that's my three challenges about bringing GenAI apps to users. So please let me know if you have any questions.
I have a lot of questions, but let me give a chance to others. So I think now you can just ask questions here instead of chat. Hima, you want to go first?
Yeah, hi, John. Really great presentation and lots of learnings. Thank you so much for that. So one of my questions was with respect to the latency that you mentioned. So were there any specific latency targets you were trying to achieve? Because I've heard from like my designers friends that usually people expect kind of like a latency of 2 seconds or less in the apps, but with LLMs it's much more higher. So did you have any specific targets that you were going for?
Yeah, so we knew right away with, especially on the TV screen, that we did not want any more than like 3 to 5 seconds, right? And you have to have something to show the user, right? To one, communicate, we're working on it, we're curating your results. But, if you have something you can entertain them with in the meantime, then they're a little bit content. But yeah, 3 to 5 seconds is what we aim for on the TV, and even that sometimes as it approaches 5 is a lot. I know too with legal graphs, sometimes it can take up to 5 minutes, but because that's a little bit more web-based, Mahesh, you can correct me if I'm wrong, it's a little easier to let them do other things. And then we also, there's one of the techniques I think Legal Graph does, and we do at Amuseme as well, is trying to surface results as we get them. So the LLMs, of course, you have ChatGPT will start populating. We try and do that too. So in Legal Graph, we're populating the clauses as they're analyzed. So you might have the first 3 to look at, and then it hasn't finished analyzing the rest. Same with Amuseme. As soon as we start getting results, we'll start populating them. And so the user starts to see something happening.
Yeah, one thing I want to just bring to this discussion is that the timings are really challenging, because earlier, before LLMs, you can set up this time like 3 seconds, set it as a latency requirement, and your team will put more servers or figure it out. And then once you have it, you will always have it. That's not true for LLMs. Same query, if the loads are high, on the backend side might take 30 seconds, and sometimes it might take 90 seconds. And yes, every cloud provider is guaranteeing you P50, P90 timings, but when things go haywire, that's the P10 that you will hit. And because the demand is higher most of the times, you are hitting P10 where they can't guarantee you any latency. So you have to build it in your experience. And that's where I think Joanne pointed, like that should be a critical part of your experience, that what your user is doing while they are waiting. Because you can't go with this fact that they won't be waiting. You have, that's the new truth of this intelligence based app, that they will be waiting. And I think both Hema and Joanne said that the user is resetting their expectations, but UX needs to design for it. And as a product manager, you need to not rely on engineering, but rely on UX more as you build these apps while the technology is maturing. Thanks, Hema.
I'm not able to raise my hand. Can I?
Medhavi, go ahead.
Yeah,
Go
thank
ahead.
you. Hi, Joanne. This was great. Very seems like your app is really delighting the users. So great job on that. My question is like probably very basic. Why did you decide to use LLM? This problem sounds like could have been solved by traditional ML. So, like, what factors you thought about, and how did you land on using LLM instead? And what were the trade-offs made in the process?
Yeah, great question. So part of what we wanted to do on the TV at least is we chose the LLM because it has, of course, that natural language. It can return it to. It just gives us an itemized list, and we needed, back when I started this, we actually had to we were using more RAG, right? We don't use it as much now, but because we download our specific data. This has been a progression over the last 6 months, but the machine learning happens more just on the recommendation side. But we definitely use the LLM more for the quiz taking. So when the user goes through and says what I'm in the mood for today, that's where more the LLM comes in, and that's where you'll see a slower response. But as you build your library and just the machine learning on the back end, it doesn't use the LLM. It's solely like, hey, we know you like this, that, or we're gathering that intel on you.
Oh, okay. So
I,
so sounds like you're using both ML and LLM in this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think these are fun times for all of us. So why use LLMs? I mean, Joanne has a perfect answer now. But let's say I am going and I want to. I had this idea all the time, which Joanne had, which is like, hey, how can I have streaming from multiple platforms? Because let's say I watch my Hindi language channels, and I have this one, and then I'm going like 5 places. So I want to build first MVP. So if I want to build it, I need to build a recommendation system, and it's not easy to build a recommendation system. I need to hire a researcher to build a recommendation system, and I need a lot of data. Even if I have the researcher, it's all more the data game. Let's say I don't have these. So what I can do is I can build a system which basically logs into my machine, takes screenshots of these 5 things, and then throws it to an LLM, because we are living in a multimodal way, and then say, here is the first one, here's the second one, here's the third one. And by the way, here is their library for me. You can just preload that. They don't change a lot. Your recommendations are not changing every day. So it can just go on every day. Take a screenshot of what each one of recommendations are in each category. Let's say 50 screenshots. And in night, it just process them as a prompt. It just dumps them and says, what are your recommendation in these 5 categories? Which is, I watch these kind of movies, I have kids, and I have this. So now I have getting like 3 recommendation, and you can build all this with one engineer, and you are relying on their recommendation system work, but you are tailoring on top of it, which is, you are coming in on top of the recommendation systems, and your recommendation is nothing but an LLM which basically parses this picture, takes out labels, and then sort these labels, and you can build an MVP in a month time. And eventually, yes, once you go, if that works, if customer are ready to pay, if the customers are coming back to your app, then you can go and say, okay, I'm going to build a recommendation system now. and I'm not relying on LLM. So the first mover or the first start from an idea to what a customer can try is really quick with LLMs, and I think that's what infusing a lot of apps and a lot of ideas you will see coming to life, because the cost or the barrier to entry is so low.
Yeah, so building that proof of concept, like just throwing up a website and saying, hey, like writing the prompt in the back end, letting users answer that questions is much quicker, of course, and it's a great way to gather interest as well and try it out. The other area in Amuseme where we use the LLM, of course, is another problem I had was I can't always remember if it takes a year or two for the next season to come out. I can't remember what happened last season. So we use the LLMs to give us a recap of the previous season, and they do a great job because it's all, natural language. So that's
And hopefully somebody has done it. So it's just reading that for you at runtime.
yeah.
Abhishek, go ahead.
Yeah, I was on meeting. So, Mahesh, the question I had was, are these apps, I mean, eventually, are you guys planning to monetize this? What is what is the end goal? And in regards to the stock, the portfolio, the portfolio app, I forgot the name of the app, right? Financial advisor app, right? Is it just doing a 10K analysis, or are we planning to add, I mean, I think features like adding some technical analysis fundamentals to that particular stock would also, equity would also make sense. What is your thoughts on that? Maybe I asked two questions.
Yeah. So really great question. So yes, I wish we've life has just happened, and a lot of us PMs have just kind of put that one on pause for just a bit. But revisiting that one, definitely, like, the goal was to have something that is a financial advisor analyzes those 10Ks. Ideally, like I drew up a whole multi-agent system where I wanted to have, like, your data extraction agent that goes out and extracts the specific data from the 10K. Then the data analysis agent that says, okay, we're going to take that data you extracted, we're going to analyze it. And meanwhile, you had the user interface agent that said, okay, we're going to take that and we're going to, I'm passing that to these guys to get you your answer, because you've asked this question like, hey, is Tesla a really good, investment, or should I invest in this over the next, 2 years? And so they've taken, now you've got these different agents working on your behalf. And then you have a sentiment analysis agent that's going out and scanning and saying, what's happening in the industry? Are we going to have a chip shortage? Or are we going to have this, that, or the other thing? And they're all coming back together. And then I have my quality assurance agent that says, okay, I'm going to double check your work and make sure you guys got it right. And then we're going to pass that all back to the UI agent and say, and they're going to come back to you with your lovely answer formatted and saying, you know what? Here's the things you should worry about. There's this going on in the industry. These guys have had some really negative media, but here's what their 10Ks say. And so putting all that together, that's my dream for the fintech app, getting all those agents working together and coming back with something that will help me, because I don't want to spend a lot of time reading all those things. So if they can condense it all for me and make a great recommendation, that would be my goal.
Is this currently a multi-agent architecture as of now?
So it's not currently. We haven't brought that one to fruition yet, but I have spent probably way too much time building those agents in Vertex AI, trying to get it right. But it is a process, right? Like it is. It takes a lot of time. So building the data source with all the 10Ks, downloading the various all that financial doc, and so building those and then trying to get the agents to talk to each other and evaluating that data takes a lot of time, evaluating the responses. So
Yes, yes. Thank you.
No, I think the idea is that you start solving customer problems and then you start with very basics, which is, can I answer basic questions about this company? Which is what they were doing with RAG. And then as you start answering question, Abhishek, you have more questions. And then you say, okay, this can't be answered like with what I have, what can I build more? And then you build more and then you build more. And both sides are growing fast. One is customer expectations, what these AI agents or chatbots can do. Their expectations are growing. And on the right hand side, the capability of what you can offer is also growing. And I was just so inspired by Joanne. I think I should build one. So great job. So proud of that. So thank you, Joanne. Great answer.
Yeah, of course. And to Mahesh's point, like literally we started like, can we just extract the data we want? Right? Like
Mhm.
that's the first step. Can we extract the data? And so like I said, I have pie in the sky and drew up my agent architecture and started playing with it in Vertex AI. But that's the goal, to get it to that point where it can be my pocket advisor, right?
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hi, Joanne.
Hi.
Nice meeting you again. Just a week ago, you recommended me, inspired me in a different class about Mahesh, and Mahesh has also inspired me. It's a philosophical question, like, for the last 4 days after Mahesh's talk about machine, got inspired, and AI agents is addictive, right? Is that like, I'm just like, I don't feel like doing anything. I'm like, now I started off with a simple thing. I'm talking to Snow database now, and I feel like doing, and it's just like the more it's giving, the more you don't feel like doing anything. Have you experienced that? Or am I an insane guy who's saying all these things? Because am I getting old? Because I don't know. I'm just so addicted. I don't feel like doing anything except that.
Yeah. So that has been the beauty of my journey last year, where I have gotten to, but my family will tell you I can lose hours just yeah. So like I said, I spent way too much time building my multi-agent system and playing in Vertex AI. But yeah, you can spend a lot of time, and I think once you're building it or doing that, you start to think, oh, why am I doing this piece by hand when I can just build an agent to do this, right? So, um, I mean, definitely we're going to see the explosion. I mean, we're already seeing the explosion of agents, right? So I've when I first learned about agents, I don't know, 6 months ago or whatever, I was like, oh my gosh, like that's where I want to spend my time. So even with Amuse Me, I spend time building agents in Vertex AI, because because like you said, I want to spend all my time doing that.
Yeah, like, you just acknowledge that I'm not a crazy guy because
No,
I
you're
don't
not
feel like doing
crazy.
anything. I don't like literally at 11 o'clock in the night. Let me do this. Let me do this. Let me make it talk to Snow. Like, it's going driving me nuts. I don't feel like doing anything. It's like, but thank you, Mahesh, and thank you, Joanne.
Yeah.
Like, really, really love you. You guys are the best.
Thank you. Thanks, team. I
Thank you.
have one question, right? This is where we change our roles, because you guys you taken my role, which is the ideal thing, because you are excited about the tech, you are iterating on the tech. So I'm going to be on the other side for this question. And I think the question for both Sham, Joanne, or anybody who is iterating on agents is, uh, how can we build trust, especially with agent systems, Joanne, and especially on the UX side? Like you showed some challenges on the apps which are still like agentic, not that agentic, has like this co-pilot based experience. Raj was asking earlier, like, I can do what you do with legal graph on chat gpt, what I value you add. And I think you showed like AI reasoning, the kind of feedback and all. But imagine now to the next level, which is I'm just sending the contract by an email. Do I
Yeah.
need a UX designer? And then somebody's sending me an email back saying these are the 5 problems in this contract. And then like I can click and then, so if that is going to happen, then what's the future of UX looks like? Sorry, hard questions. This was not part of the script.
Yeah, Mahesh, that's really hard. So I do think about this a lot, and so much of what I've done, like I showed the pretty stuff this in this talk and some of the front end stuff, but so much of what I do is designing too on the back end, like for me, how I build trust in some of these agents is I have that quality assurance agent, right? Like I want to have some fail safes, double checking the work of the other agents, but surfacing that to the user again, I think it comes back to letting the user give that feedback. Like when did the agent mess up? Like I know even myself have created, automations and these agents that can reply to emails for me or can, do my social media posts. But I almost always have it send me the thing first because I don't trust that, like, this is my voice, this is my, I'm responding. I want to review it first. So I think you of course have to have the humans in the loop, reviewing that stuff. That helps. I don't know if that answered your question, Mahesh, but that's
No, I think my takeaway is what you're saying is that that future is not coming soon.
right.
You will have a user interface, and because right now the challenge is it's a very uh, self-critical, very self-critical system. Because
Yeah.
if you look at, like, you can say, Mahesh, I'm giving you an AI agent, which where you can send an email, and let's call it peter.legalgraph.ai, and I will just send it to peterlegalgraph.ai, and it sends me back, and I get one shot to solve that problem. If I got it right, I'm getting another email from this customer. If I've got it wrong, I'm getting either a lawsuit, or
Right.
I am getting, even if, or I'm never getting an email, right?
Right.
Back, because the customer is gone, because I lost the trust. But
Right.
if they would have been on our chatbot, or this whole user based interface where they were part of the journey, they would have uploaded the contract, seen the problems, seen my confidence, clicked on the confidence, found the reasoning. And if I got half of it right, there was a high probability that they will come back to me, because I added value and they felt that they're part of something good. And you are saying that it will take another 18 months to 2 years for us to that future. And this is the path to that future. And unless we reach there, unless we go through this path, there's no goal like autonomous agent doing shopping for you.
Right, right. I think of course it's going to depend too on what the task is, right? Like some things you're willing to accept less, precision than others. So, or the cost may be higher, like a legal contract that I'm going to sign off on, sign my name on. It's, or, can have real consequences. So that's going to take more to build trust. And again, come back to that trust over time, right? You mess up big time once, yeah, you're out of luck. But if I do it once or twice and I start to feel comfortable with it, it's delivering for me, then of course that's how you start to ensure user confidence. But I think, like, my movie recommendations are not going to, I'm willing to accept more error than I would like in my legal contract.
It's like post-COVID, right? We got so used to not going to grocery store and buying anything. Like you want to click, double click, and get your products from Amazon. Like right now, anything that you want to do, can you study for me agents? I'll create multi-agents. Can you do this? Can I think on my behalf? I'll create multi. So addictive because it's doing everything for you. Like it's like literally back in the day when I was young, I was writing I don't know, 20,000 lines of Java code to accomplish something that AI and Python combination does, like, literally like in no time, like, it goes, reads the database, writes the database, assigns instances and all that. And I'm like, what? I'm like, coming from this, like, it's crazy, like, addictively crazy. It's like,
Yeah, I think there are a few challenges which Joanne pointed. I think the capability does exist. And I think people who are going to iterate fast, like Joanne, Sham, and most of the people in the cohort, like Madhvi and all of you, are going to take a lead, knowing what are the limitations of this also. As you might be seeing that building a no-code agents is getting harder. Like, although there are tools like Firewise and GPTs, but if you want to go something do by code, and if you want to just drag and drop, things like Firewise, LangGraph, all have their own challenges and they're not mature. So that's the first thing you will know that others don't know. And second, you will know that what are the, when they fail, it's really hard to get feedback. If you're building it for yourself, yes, but if you take away the UX element away, and if you build all these agents talking to each other, you have a lot of logs to parse through now. So how can you bring this, which Joanne was talking about, like, hey, my one agent goes fetches this, second agent goes fetches this, third agent goes fetches this. How can you bring the customer along, which is right now at a very minimum level? If you look at like ChatGPT says, oh, we are doing reasoning now, we are now bringing more information in. But what reasoning? What information? I want to know that. If you are an enterprise app trying to place orders for me, so that part. And if you open it up, then you have 7 agents failing 7 times in their own journeys. And now I'm just watching like 49 failures. And do you expect me to sit there and wait for your 50th failure or just run away? And if you don't show me, then you will take 5 minutes and you might solve my problem. But if you don't solve, then I think you are just dumb, which you are not either way. So that's the world I think we are entering. And I want to just thank Joanne, thank Sham, and thanks everybody. I think this was an awesome discussion. These are the kind of discussions we want to have in community. And I am so thankful, Joanne, for you to take this time, build these slides, and bring us all along. I learned a lot. And on the behalf of the community, I really want to thank you. And we'll continue to have more sessions with you because this was just eye opener, and I think I learned a lot. All of
Thank
you you start teaching at this point because you have done enough experiments. So thanks again, and hopefully I will see you again next Saturday.
Thank
We are
you.
doing
you so
agentic
much.
systems, and we will talk about agents, and hopefully we'll try to build one agent, hopefully with no code in the class itself. So that's the idea for next session. It will be a little big session, but let's see if we can have this kind of interaction there as well.
Very inspiring. Thank you.
Thank you
Thanks,
so much, Mahesh
Thank
and
you.
Joanne. You guys are the
thanks,
best.
John. Thanks, John.
Thank you
Bye.
so much. And thank you, Mahesh. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Ritu. Bye,
Thank you.
team.
Bye.
Have a nice
Bye.
weekend. Happy Thanksgiving.
Same to you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.